When Baseload Capital enters a new market, we look for people with local knowledge to start up operations on the ground. In Taiwan, that person was Hoang. Van has been doing business in Asia for 20 plus years. He's worked extensively in trade relations and helping startups in Asia. As you'll hear from his experiences, Van also possesses some of the traits we value the most: resilience and vision. Please help me welcome Hoang.
Hi everyone, and thank you for having me on your virtual seminar. Solving the climate change is a top priority for all societies. We all can agree on that, but would you accept a geothermal power plant in your backyard? That is a tricky question. The communities we have reached out to and introduced our plans to are very positive to renewable energy from geothermal power. However, based on experience from our first project, when construction started on the site, with loads of trucks passing by the village, a rig tower raise, noise level going up, and so on, we were bombarded with questions, concerns, and protests from the local community. I must admit that we have not experienced community protests on our earlier geothermal projects in other countries, and our team in Taiwan have not experienced protests from the construction industry. But since last summer, I have really learned a valuable experience about change management and the importance of working together with a community. So I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share with you our story, the lessons learned from our first geothermal power plant project in Taiwan called Westlake. But first, I would like to give you a short overview of Taiwan's energy situation. Very few know that nearly 98% of Taiwan's energy source is imported, and most of our energy comes from fossil fuels. This makes Taiwan energy supply very vulnerable to external disruption. The government decided a couple of years ago to phase out nuclear power and expand the renewable energy to become more energy independent and make the energy transition to renewable energy to protect the climate and reach the ambitious goal of carbon zero by 2050. The first milestone is to reach 20% renewable energy by 2025, and geothermal power is part of the renewable energy goal. Unlike all other countries along the Asia-Pacific Ring of Fire, with a range of 600 megawatt to over 2,000 megawatt geothermal power in operation, the geothermal market in Taiwan is still a very early stage with less than 1 megawatt in operation so far. This is one of the major reasons Baseload Power would like to take part and make an impact to contribute to Taiwan's energy transition to renewable energy. We decided, after study and evaluation of the market, to set up a local entity at the end of 2019. And Westlake is our first project in a small, very beautiful village in Hualien, located on the east coast of Taiwan. In the village, our project site is in a mountain valley, being famous for its hot spring. The local population are mainly from the Truku tribe, which is one of the 16 indigenous groups in Taiwan. So last spring, we obtained all the relevant permits to drill a well and held a public information meeting in the summer to share our project with the community. Then we proceeded with drilling in early autumn. At first, it was like any normal construction process, which most of the team have experience of. We did expect possible complaints from the neighbors about noise or other construction activities disturbing daily life. But what we did not expect, and we were not prepared for, were protests from the community. So as a foreigner, I was of course a bit shocked by the protest, and that some people were against geothermal power development. We received complaints about trucks passing by their homes, creating dust, and people saying that we were building a tower as high as a space rocket, and it was destroying the view and landscape. The construction noise level was high the first days when we started up the rig, and there were still many questions about what the geothermal power plant is and what risks and harms they believe the power plant would bring to the community. So the protests came in different forms, with marchers, banners in the village stating they did not want geothermal development, protests at their tribal meetings, protests toward the local government, KTV gathering protests, barbecue protests, they signed a petition, negative opinions about geothermal power on social media. I mean, you name it. The protest group used every means they could think of, and they kept it up for several months during the second half of last year. It was an enormous pressure on us to resolve this issue, and the whole team were stressed and very frustrated about the whole situation. So since geothermal power is very new in Taiwan with very limited knowledge among the public, and because our project is the first geothermal project in an indigenous area, this protest became quickly national news. I knew that we needed to do something different to come across with our true vision and mission, so I decided to take a step back and listen to the community. So what we learned and understood a lot from the protest, first and foremost, a couple of things. The community had a lack of knowledge about geothermal power. They see us as a stranger coming to the town to build something they have very little knowledge about, and they are afraid that a power plant may bring them harm, like water depletion, pollution, earthquakes, and so on. They don't know us. They were uncertain if we are a legitimate business, and they didn't trust us. They didn't think we respected them because we did not first get to know them and share everything about the project with them. They also wanted to know what advantages a power plant or company could bring to them, like job creation or how it would boost their local economy. In short, there were a lot of questions and concerns, a lot of incorrect information, rumors and misconceptions of geothermal power were being spread. We learned a lot by observing, listening, and talking to the villagers. We decided early on when the protest started to take responsibility and create a better relationship with the local community. So, at first, to be honest, with a lack of experience in working with communities, we didn't know what to do. I spent a lot of time talking to plenty of stakeholders in the renewable business about their experiences with communities. Then we laid out a plan of how to become more engaged with the community and seek to create a communication platform for the community to get to know us and for us to be able to earn their trust. So we listened to a couple of key areas to work on. These are to become trustworthy, to be respectful, be transparent, and be involved. So first, how would we convince the local people that we are trustworthy? We did outline our project work at information meetings and explain that our construction and power plant would not bring them harm or disturb their daily life. I promised to keep, of course, but when the drilling rig was set up the first 2 days, when noise level was high and we got complaints, then we quickly responded to the noise concerns and modified our drilling schedule to only drill in daytime, and we installed noise reduction solutions to keep the noise level to acceptable level around 30 decibel, which is much lower than normal speaking level at 70 decibel. This was to show the community that we can keep our promise, and this is one of the examples how we show that we are trustworthy. Secondly, to be respectful, we show respect towards the people and the community by being present in the village, communication with the people by knocking on the doors and one by one to introduce ourselves, talking about geothermal power, and at the same time listen to the concerns and thoughts. We learned about the local history and the culture and how they view the world. Most villagers are very positive to our projects and wanted to see job creation and how geothermal power plant can contribute to local economic development, leading to more young people staying and returning to the village for work. Thirdly, be transparent. Being transparent is vital to earn trust. We showed our commitment, attended public hearings, held several information meetings, and talked to the community to provide scientific evidence, to clarify misconceptions, show work progress, and discuss possible future plans. I deeply believe what we are doing is good for the community, the environment, and Taiwan's energy transition. Therefore, I was bold enough to join a national indigenous Saturday Night Live TV talk show to share our vision and mission in Taiwan and debated face-to-face with key opinion leaders, including the protest leader, to describe the benefits a geothermal power plant can bring to Taiwan and the community. And lastly, to be involved. We participated in local events and celebrated the local holidays together with the community. We have initiated a CSR plan focusing on geothermal education and cultural promotion. In addition to this, we have plans to collaborate with the community on the power plant design to include local culture and tribal elements on a power plant. We have thoughts on how to use the hot spring water to create other business activities for the local community. So we strongly believe that our power plant can develop and thrive together with the local community. So what I can conclude is it is very challenging with risk to build a geothermal power plant in Taiwan. It is not a straight road like the power plant we built in Iceland in 10 months. Taiwan is new to geothermal power development, and there are plenty of unexpected challenges arising along the way. Still, it has been a very exciting and educational journey so far, giving us more learnings and knowledge to become resilient. Gladly, of course, our hard work with the community is paying off. We see many opinions in the community are now shifting towards acceptance of a project, and we will maintain our engagement and continue to collaborate with the community. And in the long run, we're excited to collaborate with the communities and local stakeholders to shape and boost the geothermal power development and contribute to the energy transition to more renewable energy and reach a carbon zero Taiwan.
Thank you, Van, for sharing these valuable stories from Taiwan. I have a lot of questions, but I'll phrase one of them. So if you would say, what's the lesson you have learned from your experiences in Taiwan?
Well, life is a continuous learning process. For this project, we got a real-life crash course on community management. The main lessons to take away for us is to create a communication platform to be able to obtain insights and understand how the community thinks and what concerns they have for us to be able to manage their expectations. But creating a communication platform requires you to be bold enough to knock on everyone's door, to get connected and obtain trust to be able to create a working dialogue. From all the lessons learned, I think we are much better equipped now for any future community engagements.
Thank you. If you would change anything, and if you had a chance to redo it, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that the main thing we need to change is engagement with the community early on to get the blessings before we start the construction. This will mean plenty of community engagements to build trust, educating the community about geothermal power, and create an inclusive communication platform. The good thing is that we have a common goal to build a more resilient society, which requires communication between the parties to build trust, commitment, and reach agreement on how we together can create a better future.
Thank you. I'm also wondering, we have a big audience here today. What is your advice to the industry of geothermal?
In Baseload Power, working with community is one of our core values, but communities are different and diverse. I would advise developers to participate in and understand their communities at an early stage, and to reach out to other geothermal developers and stakeholders in the renewable business for advice. The Taiwanese are very kind and helpful. They will give you a helping hand. My advice to the industry is that geothermal power plant can be integrated with the local community and create a lot of economic benefits by using hot spring water for many purposes like tourism, greenhouse, district heating, and industrial use to boost the local economy and create jobs, which I think will benefit the rural areas and villagers, which in turn will benefit development of the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an abundant amount of information that you have shared with us today. I think the listeners and the audience have learned a lot from the projects in Taiwan. So thank you, Van, very much for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for having me.